the entertainment world shook again. This time, not because of controversy, not because of romance rumors, but because of one fact that makes many people silent and wonder. How can one name dominate the Japanese music market, which is known to be the most strict and closed in Asia? Yes, we're talking about Jungkook, the golden maknae of BTS, who has now officially recorded an extraordinary achievement, becoming the most popular Korean soloist in Japan, even beating a number of local singers who have dominated the Oricon charts for decades. But wait, this is not just any ordinary musical achievement. Because if we look deeper, there is something much more interesting. Japan is not a market that is easily conquered, especially by overseas artists. The culture is unique, the industry is protective, and the music lovers have very specific tastes. So when Jungkook was able to break record after record there, even the music world began to ask, what exactly made the Japanese public so deeply enamored with him? Is this purely due to BTS's global popularity? Or is there something more personal, stronger, and more unexpected behind its success? From the Tokyo media to Billboard Japan, all discussed the same thing. Jungkook's phenomenon is unusual. Many call it miracle branding, but many also believe it's purely because of the quality and emotional connection he's built through his music. And this is where the narrative gets even more interesting, because we're not just going to talk about records, but also about how one Jungkook managed to break through the wall that has made many international artists fail in Japan. When it comes to the Japanese music market, many people in the industry know one thing. It is one of the most difficult markets to conquer in the world. Not because they are not open to outside music, but because the Japanese public is very selective. They value authenticity, consistency, and long-term dedication. Overseas artists usually just explode for a while, and then just disappear. But Jungkook came up with a completely different formula. He does not insist on entering the Japanese market through commercial means like most global artists. He comes with an authentic work which feels personal but still has an international quality. When songs like 7, Standing Next to You, and 3D began to hit the Japanese charts, many observers initially thought it was just a global fandom effect. But after a few months, his data showed something surprising. Most of his new listeners in Japan were not BTS fans, but general listeners who perceived Jungkook as a solo artist with a relevant, stylish, and clean vocal style typical of modern Japanese singers. Even local Japanese media described Jungkook as a Korean artist with a natural Japanese sensitivity. And this is no accident. If we look at Jungkook's promotional approach, everything is done very carefully. The visuals are made with a tone similar to Japanese fashion ads, minimalist but full of impression. The lyrics have a romantic and universal feel that can be accepted by the Japanese market. While the way he appeared in the media was very respectful of the local culture, calm, polite, but still charismatic, all this forms the perfect combination that a foreign artist can rarely achieve. In fact, the latest data from Oricon shows Jungkook has now recorded total sales of more than 2.4 billion yen, making him the #1 Korean male soloist of all time in Japan. It's a no-nonsense number on par with top Japanese artists who have had a career spanning decades. But behind all this, there is one big question. Why is it precisely Jungkook who can break through the walls of the Japanese market, while many other global artists fail miserably? Perhaps the answer lies in one thing that is difficult to explain with numbers: respect. Jungkook never looked at Japan only as a market, but as an audience that needed to be understood. He not only brought his music there, but also adapted the way he communicated, performed, and interacted. And maybe that's why the Japanese public sees him not just as an overseas artist, but as someone who feels close and genuine. As soon as the news of Jungkook's record was announced, the Japanese media immediately crowded. But interestingly, not only fans were excited, but also local musicians and journalists began to openly talk about this phenomenon. Some senior Japanese singers even praised Jungkook publicly, calling him a young artist with international standards who still has an Asian soul. But of course, in the midst of that praise, there was also a note of amazement. Because, to be honest, it's rare for a non-Japanese artist to stay long on their chart. Usually, the trend of outside artists will rise quickly and fall quickly. However, Jungkook's songs remained stable for months, even in periods without major promotions. That is, its popularity is not the result of a mere promotional push, but really comes from public interest. Media outlets such as Nikkei Entertainment and Tokyo Sports have even called Jungkook a cross-generational phenomenon, as his songs are listened to by a wide range of age groups, from teenagers to office workers. But behind all that admiration, there are also concerns from the Japanese music industry itself. There are analysts who say, if trends like Jungkook continue, the local distribution system could change drastically, due to the fact that physical sales in Japan have been very strong, but Jungkook managed to dominate through digital platforms, something that was once thought would not happen in Japan. Now, Japanese labels are starting to review their strategies, as the streaming trend brought by Jungkook has begun to change the habits of listeners there. From the fans' side, the atmosphere is also amazing. Many local Japanese fans admitted that this is the first time they have fallen in love with an overseas artist because of his soft but strong vocals. Even at some virtual concerts and fan events, Japanese fans create special projects themed kizuna, which means bond, as a symbol of the relationship between them and Jungkook. On Japanese social media such as X, Japanese Twitter, and Line, Jungkook's name almost always appears in weekly trends. But all this is not just about fame, it is about changing tastes and ways of thinking. Jungkook managed to blur the line between Korean and Japanese artists with one simple thing: honesty in music. And maybe that's where his real strength is. When Jungkook's record in Japan stuck out to global news, the impact was immediately felt across the industry. Billboard America highlighted how this achievement became a new model of Asian expansion in the international music market. Even Western producers are starting to pay attention to the distribution patterns and communication strategies Jungkook uses. As it turns out, the non-intrusive approach, aka not forcing yourself but staying consistent, is much more effective in building public trust. Many say that Jungkook's success in Japan is a blueprint for the future of Asian artists in the global market. But the effect does not stop there. After his achievements were announced, several Korean solo artists began to receive more attention in Japan, from cross-label collaborations to K-pop 10s, J-pop special projects. In other words, Jungkook not only opened the door for himself, but also for a new generation of Asian artists who want to step into the global level. But the funny thing is, in the midst of all the seriousness, Jungkook still behaves as usual, relaxed, calm, and never looks arrogant. On several occasions, he even said that he didn't know what to feel like when he heard his new records. That simple sentence actually reinforces his image as a sincere and up-to-date artist, something that the Japanese public appreciates very much. Today, observers refer to Jungkook as a symbol of real Asian soft power change, not through politics, not through economics, but through culture and music. And if this trend continues, it could be that what we're seeing today is just the beginning of a new revolution in global entertainment where names like Jungkook are not just K-pop stars, but global icons. If you ask which foreign artists can penetrate the Japanese market consistently, the answer can be counted on the fingers. Japan is famous for being a super closed music market, with unique and very local preferences. They love their own products, from musicians, idol groups, to the soft but complex style of Japanese pop music. But suddenly, one name from South Korea made it through that wall without a sound: Jungkook. Not through drama, not through advertising, but through music and visuals that resonate with the hearts of Japanese people. But why is that? What made the Japanese public, who are notoriously selective and rarely idolize overseas artists, fall in love with Jungkook? Is it because of his global status as a BTS member? Or because he managed to adapt to Japanese tastes without losing his true self? This is a question that even industry experts have not been able to answer with one simple sentence. First, we have to see. Japan is not just a music market, but part of a culture that values detail, perfection, and continuity. In their culture, such diligence is considered a form of respect. And that's where Jungkook won their hearts. Since his solo debut, he has shown a serious commitment to quality. From song arrangements, vocal tones, to promotional styles, everything is well planned, but still feels natural. The Japanese public can feel it. They see not just a K-pop artist coming to market music, but someone who truly cares about the quality and delivery of their emotions. That's why songs like Standing Next to You and 3D not only became hits, but were accepted as works with a depth rarely found in modern pop music. But interestingly, this acceptance did not come just like that. At first, most Japanese media were still skeptical. They think Jungkook's hype is just BTS's effect. But slowly, the facts say otherwise. In a survey conducted by Oricon and Yahoo, Japan, many general listeners, not the army, claim to enjoy Jungkook's music because of his elegant production and soothing voice. They didn't even know he was from BTS. This means that Jungkook has managed to create his own identity outside the shadow of his group, a rare major achievement for a solo artist from a group as big as BTS. In addition, Jungkook's visual style also plays an important role. Japan has a unique aesthetic, taste clean, minimalist, but still emotional. And Jungkook's promotional visuals, especially his collaboration with Calvin Klein, fit perfectly into this style. He appears with a classy simplicity, not excessive, but still has a magnetic appeal. This makes it feel Japanese without having to imitate. Many Japanese designers even praise its simplicity as a form of pure beauty, a rare compliment given to an overseas artist. And don't forget the vocal factor. Japan has a long tradition of rewarding singers with high vocal control and technique. Jungkook is known for his clear and stable voice, even when lives something that is highly respected there. In some Japanese music forums such as 5chi and Barks, many compared Jungkook to classical Japanese singers who have consistent vocal abilities. In other words, Jungkook did not come to impress, but to prove his quality. However, the most interesting is its non-aggressive approach to promotion. Unlike many foreign artists who come up with massive marketing strategies, Jungkook actually does the opposite. He lets his music speak for itself. There was no over-promotion, no massive tour at the beginning. He developed a sense of curiosity. And when the Japanese public began to hear, they found something genuine. This low-key strategy actually strengthens his image as a serious artist, not just a global product. And of course, we can't ignore the BTS factor itself. Although Jungkook wants to be known as a soloist, BTS's legacy remains an important foundation. In Japan, BTS is not just a musical group, they are a cultural phenomenon. Many Japanese appreciate their hard work as a symbol of Asian dedication and professionalism. So when Jungkook performs solo, the public already has high expectations for his quality standards. But to their surprise, he managed to exceed those expectations. Now, with more than 2.4 billion yen in total sales and positioning as the Hashon all-time solo male K-pop idol in Japan, Jungkook is not only a successful artist overseas, he is part of a new history of Asian music. But behind all those huge numbers, the biggest question still hangs. Is this just a temporary peak, or the beginning of a new era in which Asian artists can conquer the Japanese market without compromise? If you look at how it works, the answer could be, Jungkook hasn't stopped. This is just the beginning.